Okay, so 710. We're going back to what we did in 7.05, I believe, where we're translating sentences with have. Remember all the different translations for have? All the possible signs we can use? So we have. Let me go to the next slide and you can see have, and then must or need, right? Little hook. Then finish. I've done that, right? And there's none. I have none. And not yet, meaning I haven't done that yet. Okay, so we've got all those. And the first step I'd want you to do is to come up with a sentence for each one of them on your own. That's what I'd normally do in class. Sorry, move this back just a little bit. So a little bit. Okay. So come up with a sign for each one. I have this. I must do this. Finish with that. I have none of those, and I haven't done that yet. Okay. So just be able to come up with a sentence for each of those using the vocab you already know. So just keep it nice and simple. Then I've got a bunch of sentences here that come from the text and want you to pick out what would be the right one for it and then sign that sentence. So the first is, I don't have a plaid shirt. My sister has 3 purses. Rita has already bought a dress. He hasn't seen the movie. I have sunglasses with red frames. So think about how you would sign each of those, each of the pieces of information in there. Plaid, shirt, sister, purses. Okay. So make sure you know all of the vocab. And then what is the correct has? And I've got them up on top, A, B, C, D, and E. And then the answers pop up and then an ASL translation. So figure out how you would sign it. Then we'll tell you which of the 4 or which of the 5 translations to have. And then a simple sign gloss of each of those sentences. So you can refer to those. I don't want to go through them. There are 10 different sentences. Then the next thing is, what's the English translation of the sentence? Whatever they sign in the video, then the answer will show up at the bottom. Again, this is just a chance to practice the stuff that we've already done. So, looking at these sentences, I don't have a plaid shirt. Would it be have? No, because it's have none, right? I don't have any. So it's not must or need, it's not finish, it's D, done, none. So what do you have none of? A shirt that's plaid or plaid shirt. And I've mentioned this before, but the noun adjective in ASL can go either way. Shirt plaid is probably better visually than plaid shirt. For short sentences like this, they go by so quickly, it's really not that big of a deal. But when you get to longer sentences, that's when you're going to start to notice that it's kind of important that you want to put it in the right order. Okay. Okay. So the second one, my sister has 3 purses. So my, right? So make sure it's my and not me, my sister. And those two should go together, my sister. The my is the possessive pronoun. It basically acts as an adjective for that. So my sister, those two go together, has 3 purses. Or you could see it sometimes as 3 purses my sister has. Your topic is 3 purses. The comment is that your sister has 3. Most of these we're just going with straight English sentence, grammar, sentence, word order. And even though it mentions a name, just point to someone. You don't have to fingerspell unless you really want to practice your fingerspelling. So Rita, or oftentimes they'll say woman over there. So totally your choice. Honestly, the best thing would be to practice with both. Rita over there. Oh, wait a minute. Finish, right? Finish by dress. Cool. And if you do have without a subject, it means you. It's assumed. It's like in English, if we say go outside, it's assumed it's you, right? The subject is assumed. So in this case, have sunglasses, and oftentimes it's like sunglasses, red frames, frames. Some people will do frame with an F. It's the easiest way. So then we've got the answers. Oh, interesting. The book has the sentence differently. Let me change this to red. All right. That's very odd. Okay. So then the next one, I have to call my doctor. Which one? B, right? I must call my doctor. I need to call my doctor. Call to, and you're setting up the doctor over here. So with each of these, we're setting up a location. And again, we did that with drive to, go to, carry to, those sentences. And we're going to do that again in the next chapter. It's either 10, 11 or 12 that we do more drive to, carry to, that kind of stuff. So we're starting to really establish a place and it becomes that character. So you don't ever want it to drift. You want to remember something's over there and something's over there. So or you'll oftentimes see that the doctor would be set up first. My doctor, or my doctor. So there are a couple different ways you can put those three pieces of information. My doctor, call, must. And there are different ways you can organize them. We're going to play around with that doctor I call in a couple chapters, 8 and 9, start to deal with that. It's a gradual transition because we're not used to doing that in English, but we do this all the time. The basic setup, I have to call. Subject comes first before the direct object. So go through each of these, figure out what's the form of have that you need. And then what helps too is if you think about, okay, I have to, I need to. Change it to need to, and it becomes easier. Then you won't have a mistake like I did a few seconds ago or a few minutes ago where I said had, and I'm like, no, have to, right? You have to tell her you're sorry. Have to, right? Have to. Oh, have to. Must. Store doesn't have leather jackets. Store, the store has none. Now, here we get into that, confusing of keeping track of where's the my daughter. And I would recommend setting it up. My daughter, her grandfather, just do it once. Grandfather hasn't met. And aim towards him. That one starts to get confusing, right? You're having to keep track of when you're referring to her, when you're referring to him. So, my daughter here. So, try to get used to establish that. My daughter here, her grandfather there, she hasn't met him. That's the easiest way to set it up. It's weird. It's so totally not English, but I want you to imagine you're setting up a silent film. No words. And you show little girl, old man, and then back to her, and she's like, she's not met. Come on, no. Okay. So my daughter here, her grandfather there, she hasn't met. And met aims towards him. Well, let me look at the last one, and then we'll go through a couple more sentences. I have bought the coat, but have yet to buy the hat. So we're talking about me and two different objects, right? So nice, easy way of doing it is coat, I finish by, but the hat, not yet by. So me must phone to doctor, okay? You must tell her you sorry, right? Tell her sorry. Or, and you can act it out where you must tell her sorry. So you become her, you kind of personify the person you're talking to. Leather jacket, store, none. My daughter, whom not yet met her grandfather. So a slightly different way of saying it. My daughter, point two, not yet met her. Again, remember, it's her grandfather. I tend to include locations because it's clearer. The book is a little bit simpler. So you can see how there's it's simpler, but it's not quite as much information. So we're not even including the grandfather in the picture, in the statement. And then last, coat, me, finish by, hat, not yet. Okay, so you don't need the by for both, or you could add that much information. Coat, I bought, finish. Hat, not yet, by, fit. Not yet, by, not yet. Okay. So you can always expand sentences to include more information. And most of the time you can trim down sentences to be simpler. So as you start thinking of new ideas, as you start thinking, well, it's not quite all the information, how would you add in that other stuff? So then we've got these sentences. These, once we've gotten past the middle of 7, all the chapters start to get pretty short. There's a lot of like video stuff that I've got to trim and put them in. So, and the slideshows take a while to put together. So they're not going to come out published any faster. Well, hopefully I'll be able to get a little bit further ahead. But anyway, so again, we're just reviewing. There are no new vocab. It's just these things. And then there are all of the videos for this.